What day is it?
It's the 28th. You touched your face.
I thought this was only supposed to last 14 days. Well, this morning we're going to talk about love at first sight. And there's no less than 5 instances in the Bible where we see love at first sight. And the first one being that of Adam and Eve. I mean, the moment that he saw Eve, he said, "Wow, she is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. I shall call her woman." And I think it's funny that the first thing that comes to his mind is naming her. I guess he was kind of in that mode. Now today we're going to go to 1 Samuel 25, and we're going to look at David and Abigail. Now we'll begin in verse 2. There was a man, Maon, and his work was in Carmel, and the man was very great. And he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. And he came to be shearing his sheep in Carmel. And the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife was Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding and beautiful. But the man was hard and evil in his doings. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing sheep. And David sent 10 young men and said to the young men, "Go up to Carmel, and you shall come to Nabal and greet him in my name. And say this, 'Long life and peace to you, and peace to your house, and peace to all that you have. And now I have heard that you have shearers. Now your shepherds have been with us. We did not put them to shame, and not a speck of theirs was missing in all the days that they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, let them inform you. So let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we come to you on a good day. Please give whatever comes to your hand to the servants and to your son David.' And the young men of David came and spoke to Nabal according to all these words in the name of David, and waited. But Nabal answered the servants of David and said, 'Who is David? And who is the son of Yeshai? The servants who are running away from their masters have become many nowadays.'" So right here we see a few things. Number one, he knows who David is. He knows that David is in a place where he's on the run from King Saul, because King Saul's become jealous and has a little issue with a demon, the evil spirit that comes upon him. And he also happened to throw out the name of David's papa. So obviously he knows who he is. So he's making fun of him, saying, "Oh, what, everybody that runs away from their master has to come here? Come on." The servants who have been running away from their masters have become many nowadays. And shall I take my bread and my water and my meat that I have slaughtered for my shearers and give it to men coming from who knows where? And the young men of David turned around on their way and went back, and came and reported to him all these words. And David said to his men, "Each one, gird up your sword." So they each girded up their sword, and David also girded on his sword, and about 400 men went with David, and 200 remained back at the camp. And one of the young men informed Abigail, the wife of Nabal, saying, "See, David has sent messengers from the wilderness to greet our master," but he scoffed at them. But the men were very good to us and did not put us to shame, nor did we miss any item all the days that we accompanied them in the fields. See, we need to understand that these guys had 3,000 sheep, and they were out in the wilderness, and there was all sorts of things out there that could befall them, dangers like marauders or, thieves. Maybe another army comes by. I mean, if nothing else, just the act of counting this number of sheep would make you fall asleep, right? And so then who would watch the sheep? I don't know. Just a thought. The men were very good to us. They did not put us to shame, nor did we miss any item all the days that they accompanied us when we were in the fields. They were a wall to us by night and day, and all the days we were with them tending the sheep. And now, know and see that you should do for what evil has been resolved against our master and against all his household, that he is too much of a son of Belial to speak to. So they couldn't even talk to Nabal about this because he was too much of a SOB, a son of Belial. So they went to Abigail. And Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 skins of wine and 5 sheep made ready, 5 measures of roasted grain and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. And she said to her servants, "Pass over before me. See, I am coming after you." But she did not inform her husband Nabal. And it came to be, as she rode on the donkey, that she went down under the cover of a hill, and there were David, his men, coming down towards her, and she met them. And David had said, "Only in vain have I protected this one all that he has in the wilderness, so that not a speck was missing from all that belongs to him, and he has repaid me good with evil. Let Elohim do so, and also more, to the enemies of David, if I leave one male of all who belong to him by morning light." So he's very angry, and he's going to exact his justice on them. He's going to make sure that every man that works for them is dead by morning light. And Abigail saw David, and she hastened to come down from the donkey and fell on her face before David and bowed down to the ground and fell at his feet and said, "On me, my master, let this crookedness be on me. And please let your female servant speak in your ears and hear the words of your female servant. Please let not my master regard this man of Belial, this son of Belial, Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. For Nabal is his name, and folly is with him." So, yeah, Nabal, folly. What a thing to name your kid. I guess they knew. "But I, your female servant, did not see the young men of my master whom you sent. So now, my master, as Yehovah lives, and as your being lives, since Yehovah has withheld you from coming to bloodshed and avenging yourself with your own hand. Now then, let your enemies be as Nabal. Let your enemies be fools, even those seeking evil against my master. And now this present which your female servant has brought to my master, let it be given to the young men who follow my master. Please forgive the transgression of your female servant. For Yehovah is certainly making a steadfast house for my master." Now here, Abigail begins to, I'll say, prophesy. She begins to speak out things about David that obviously she knew, and perhaps he was a bit famous, but she speaks to the future here. So please forgive the transgression of your female servant, for Yehovah is certainly making a steadfast house for my master, because my master fights the battles of Yehovah, and evil is not found in all your days. And what was it that David said about Goliath when he was about to destroy Goliath? He says, "I come to you in the name of Yehovah," right? So he didn't go in his own strength, but he was literally fighting the battles of God. "And if a man rises to pursue you and seek your life," which at this very time King Saul was doing that, "and the life of my master has been bound in the bundle of the living with Yehovah your Elohim, then the lives of your enemies shall sling out as from the pocket of a sling." So she obviously is referring to his defeating Goliath with the sling. That must have been made quite an impression on her. And it shall be when Jehovah has done for my master according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you. So she knows that the Almighty has been speaking things to David and has commanded you to be ruler over Israel. So she even knows that he was anointed to be king. Do not let this be a staggering and a stumbling of heart to my master, that you have shed blood without cause. So, yeah, I mean, she's right now concerned for him, concerned for his kingdom that would come. And it's like, don't do something that's going to cast a bad light on you, right? She's trying to help him out here. That you have shed blood without cause, or that my master has saved himself. And when Jehovah has done good to my master, then remember your female servant. So, yeah, she hopes that he doesn't forget about her. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be Jehovah, Elohim of Israel, who sent you to meet me today. And blessed is your good taste, and blessed are you, because you have kept me this day from coming to bloodshed and from avenging myself with my own hand. Nevertheless, as Jehovah, Elohim of Israel lives, who has kept me back from doing evil to you, if you had not hurried to come to meet me, not a male would have been left to Nabal by break of day. And that is for certain. Now, he took with him 400 men, 400 fighting men. This is a mixed multitude of men that anyone from, if they're maybe running from the law, they owed debts. They're warriors. Sometimes it's hard for a warrior to maybe have a vineyard. He needs to be out in the fight. And this is the people that he had. They wanted to be there. And they followed him. Over 600, actually. And David received from her hand what she had brought him. So she gave him some gifts and said to her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have listened to your voice and have accepted your face. And Abigail went to Nabal, and see, he was at a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was glad within him, and he was exceedingly drunk. And she told him not a word, little or much, until morning light. And it came to be in the morning, when the wine had gone from Nabal. Yeah, she had to wait for him to sober up. So she was obviously, wanting to communicate with him and not waste her time speaking to somebody that probably won't remember that they even had the conversation. And it came to be in the morning light when the wine had gone, that his wife told him these matters, and his heart died within him, and he became like a stone. So that didn't go well. And it came to be in about 10 days that Jehovah smote Nabal, and he died. So 10 days after Abigail met with David, she had told her husband what happened, what she did to actually save his life and the life of his men. And he had a heart attack and died 10 days later. And David heard that Nabal was dead. And he said, Blessed be Jehovah, who has pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and has kept his servant from evil. For Jehovah has returned the evil of Nabal on his own head. And David sent and spoke to Abigail to take her as his wife. So she asked that he would remember her. And I think that when David heard the word that Nabal was dead, he was probably unconsolable for, a second or two, but he got over it very quickly. And right away he sent word to her, let her not be a widow long. Will you marry me? And when the servants of David had come to Abigail at Carmel, they spoke to her, saying, David has sent us to you to ask you to become his wife. And she arose, bowed her face to the earth, and said, Here is your female servant, a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my master. And Abigail hurried and arose and rode on a donkey with 5 of her female attendants, and she followed the messengers of David and became his wife. As we think of love at first sight in the story of David and Abigail, I'm just reminded of the Sabbath and the Shabbat that we celebrate Friday night. And we go through and we have blessings that we speak over our children, the boys and the girls. And then there's a time when the husband speaks a blessing over his wife. And tell me who this sounds like. From Proverbs 31, he says, "A wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies, and her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of his life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She's like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night, and she provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for the tasks. She sees that her trade is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. And she makes coverings for her bed and is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with dignity and strength, and she can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is in her tongue. And she watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat of the bread of idleness." Isn't that how Abigail was? Didn't she take care of the affairs of her household? I mean, they had thousands of men working for them, and she made sure everybody was fed. And when she found out that danger was coming their way, she immediately set about baking. And what a wife for David to have. And in the Proverbs 31, it says she wears purple. It's the color of kings. And she obviously knew that he was going to be king someday. Now, when I say the Sabbath, it's a day where for 6 days we work and we worry about our affairs. But on the seventh day, that's that love at first sight. That's time to spend with our Creator. And just, I think of Adam when he first saw Eve, and he was just overjoyed, and a time of discovery. And right away he's like, I want to name her. Well, that's what we do when we spend a day with the Almighty and we're just studying His Word and learning His ways. Then He gets a chance to see that excitement in us and just fall in love with us all over again as we just learn who He is and what His name is, you know. So I just encourage you that take time for love at first sight. Read the Word, read the Old Testament to find out just who is it that we worship and what makes Him happy.